If you're downsizing or you just lost a spouse and now you're staring at a house that you never planned to sell alone, the temptation to sell it as is, that is real. And sometimes that's the exact right call, but it doesn't come without a cost. And that cost, it can quietly reshape your entire next chapter. I've watched sellers, they go down this as is path thinking it's the easy button, but then they walk away with far less than they should have, far less than they anticipated. I'm Weldon Hobbs, and I help others align their life and their wealth goals with their housing decisions. So, today we're going to walk through the 8 things that you need to know before you ever sell a home as is. So that way your decision, it's a fully informed one, not just an easy one. And one quick thing, if you have adult children, have them watch this too, share it with them because one day they're going to be the ones that are selling this house and they're going to be standing right where you are now, facing this exact decision. So give them a head start, let them know what to anticipate and some of the pros and cons. That way they can think about it before they're in the pressure of the moment. Starting with number one, as is does not mean what most people think it means. People hear as is and they picture this clean, no questions asked deal. You list it, someone buys it, you hand over the keys, and then you walk away. That is fantasy. And the reality is, as is means you're telling the buyer that you won't make repairs. It does not mean that you can hide what's wrong. If you know that the roof leaks, if you know that there's been water intrusion into the basement, you are still legally required to disclose all of that. And it does not stop a buyer from getting an inspection. And then they find something and coming right back to renegotiate. As is doesn't close the door on any of that. So hold on to that because it matters for everything else that's going to follow here. And this is point number two, which the moment you put as is in the listing, you are sending a signal. You are sending every buyer that looks at that listing a message. And what they hear is what's wrong with the house. Buyers, they are already suspicious. So when they see as is, a lot of them, they just assume the worst. And they do one of two things. They either skip your home entirely or they come in with a lowball offer to protect themselves from a problem that may not actually even exist. Your house might be in good shape, but the label did the talking before your photos ever got a chance. Now, number three, as is going to shrink your buyer pool. And a smaller pool almost always means a smaller number at the closing table. When you have fewer buyers look, the ones who do, they offer less. And here's the part that's going to sting for a downsizer. The longer that house sits, the more it costs every single month that you're still carrying it. The mortgage, the taxes, insurance, utilities. You list it as is to save money and time, but the market, it quietly hands you a bill that you continue to pay until it's actually closed. Now, if you're thinking, okay, as is has some downsides, but is it really going to cost me my next chapter? Stay with me because the next few, that's where the money is going to leak, including how to price this thing. And the very last one, it's the one that almost no one sees coming. Number four, you cannot contract your way out of a home inspection surprise. I've seen sellers, they put right in the offer, buyer waives repairs. Inspection is for informational purposes only. And then the inspection finds a bad roof. The buyer comes back anyway, asking for a $15,000 credit. And the trap here is by then you're weeks into this deal. You've already pulled it off the market. So you feel cornered into saying yes. And even if you say no and they walk, now you know about the roof, which means you have to disclose it. And that's to the next buyer and anybody that comes after that. So the surprise finds you either way. Okay, number five. And this one's for you if you've lost a spouse. Don't make any big, irreversible decisions right away. Give yourself the space that you need. Now, you might be worried about selling and the tax side of it all. I get it. But take care of you first. And the IRS, they actually give you a little bit of time. The year that your spouse passes, you can still file married jointly, same as always. And in some cases, you can keep those same joint tax benefits for a second year after that, But your CPA, they're going to be the ones that know and if that's you and if you qualify. But the point is, you don't have to force a rush sale just to beat some tax clock. But when you are ready, understand what you'll be able to exclude on the sale and run that again by your CPA. That's not a step that you want to skip. To point number 6, the cash buyer shortcut. Those we buy houses companies, the instant offers, here's the honest version of that. It's probably going to cost you more than it saves on paper. The investor type pays somewhere between 60 to 75 cents on the dollar. Then they fix it up, they resell it for the difference. That spread is your equity. So, yes, in pure dollars, you're usually leaving money on the table. But, and this matters, it's also going to save you the headache. No showings, no strangers walking through your home, no repairs, no staging, no months of waiting. You sign and you're done. And for some people, that is worth real money. If showings feel unbearable right now, if there's a health concern, if you just don't have the energy for the whole circus of selling your home, because it is a process, paying for simplicity is a completely valid choice. The only real mistake here is doing it without knowing the trade off. And in a second, I'm going to show you exactly how to put a real number on that trade off. So that way you can decide on purpose with your eyes wide open. And here's point number 7. So this is the one that turns all of this from a guess into a deliberate decision. Here's how you actually put a real number on selling as is. That way you're not at anyone's mercy. So start here. No matter which route that you take, bring in your own home inspector and get real estimates on the major repairs, the roof, the systems, the big stuff. Then take what the home would sell for in good shape and subtract those repair costs. That number right there, that is your honest as is value. Now you're working from math instead of fear. And from that one number, you've got 3 different options, most likely. One is going to be the investor, the we buy houses companies, when the house needs real work and you need out. They're usually landing somewhere around that 65 to 75% of that fixed up value because they need to cover their costs, their work, and their profit. So this is the biggest discount, but you have zero hassle and you're done. Now, 2, this is the iBuyer, the open door offer pad type. So for when your home is actually in decent shape and you just don't want people walking through it, or you can't leave for whatever reason, health issues. These pay a lot closer to market value, but here's the catch that most people miss. They charge a service fee, usually 5 to 8%, and they'll still deduct for any repairs. These companies, they don't take nearly as much as the investor companies, but they're still going to charge a service fee and they're going to still deduct for any repairs. So the discount, it's smaller, but read the fee line carefully. You're paying for the convenience. And then here's the third option. You don't have the cash to go do all the repairs that you know need to be done. And you also, at the same time, don't want to hand an investor their whole profit margin either. So you still go get that inspection. You get the estimates. You discount the price, the fair market price of the home for all the repairs that are actually needed. And how much that is, depends entirely on the status of the house and your market. And you still have some work to do here. You list it on the open market as is, but you get to keep the most equity. The trade-off here, again, it's a real listing, so a little more of the process stays on your plate. And if you're sitting there thinking, I don't know which one of these is right for me, that's exactly what I'm here for. If you find yourself in this spot, take a look at the link in the caption below and let's talk. I want to make sure that you're set up for success and that whichever path you choose, you're choosing it with your eyes wide open and you have someone in your corner that's seen it before. You don't have to figure this out alone. And here's number 8. This is the one that almost nobody sees coming. The biggest mistake isn't choosing as is. It's choosing it without ever defining what a win actually looks like. Because as is might genuinely be right. If you're in real financial distress, speed is everything. If there's a major repair truly beyond your means, as is can be the smart, clear-eyed choice. The mistake is defaulting to it because it feels easy when you never ask the first question. What am I actually trying to accomplish here? Is it the most money? Is it get out the fastest with the least hassle? Those are the different goals and they lead to different decisions. When you nail that down first, everything else, the as is call, the pricing, the path you pick, it gets clearer. So here's your one next step. Before you put a sign in that yard, write down the single thing that matters most to you in this move: the money, the speed, the peace of mind. That one sentence is the difference between a decision that you made on purpose and one that just happens to you. I'm Weldon Hobbs, and when we're making big decisions, we start with your life goal, we optimize it for wealth, and then we focus on the real estate. Remember, good decisions, they start with good information, and I'll see you in the next one.